games have been rescheduled, the last 3 of the season. So it would be December the 5th at Wake Forest, December 12th home against North Carolina, and then December 19th home against Georgia Tech. You're only going to play that Georgia Tech game if the result of that game, win or loss, does affect who would be in the ACC Championship game. So if Miami were to be eligible for the ACC Championship game and the result of that game, win or loss, did not impact who would go to the ACC Championship game, then Miami would not play Georgia Tech, and then Miami would play the ACC Championship game. But now let's talk about it. What would have to happen for that game not to impact the standings, either way, win or loss? That means that Clemson's going to have to lose twice. You know what I mean? Because they've already – well, Miami has to win out, first of all.
Yeah. They have to lose once.
No. No, they have to lose twice, because if they lose once and Miami were to lose to Georgia Tech, then Clemson would hold the tiebreaker. So that means that Georgia Tech, that game would affect the stand. So that means Clemson would have to lose 2 times and Miami win out for us not to have – or because you have to consider the losing proposition for Miami, right? Am I wrong?
Wait a minute. You're trying to get Miami to the ACC Championship game.
I'm trying to get Miami to the ACC Championship game.
Then why are you playing out a scenario in which you lose a game?
No. But what I'm saying is the scenario for playing Georgia Tech on the 19th.
Oh, okay.
The result of that game cannot impact the ACC Championship game's standings.
Okay. Because it's played on the same weekend.
Because it's played on the same weekend.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Right. So the only way
I was looking up 2017 rankings.
Right. No, I get it.
I missed the beginning of your spiel. Right. My bad.
So if Clemson had 2 losses, then potentially the Georgia Tech Miami game could impact, because if Miami were to lose and have 2 losses also, then Clemson would win because of the tiebreaker. So now that means that Clemson has to have even more losses. So as if Miami were to lose, the tiebreaker would not be in effect, which means Clemson would have to lose 2 more times this regular season to have 3 ACC losses for this game then not to count toward. Or you have Clemson win out and Notre Dame lose like a couple 3 times as well. So it's a tough lift. It's asking a lot for these other teams. One who's undefeated in conference and one who's once beaten in conference, only lost to the undefeated team and has beat you. It's a lot of machinations to get Miami there to the point where the Georgia Tech game would not have any impact on those standings. So the clear way, or the easy way, is really to have Clemson lose twice. Easy mathematically, probably not easy in reality. So more likely than not, the Georgia Tech game would be played on that 19th, since Miami would probably not be eligible because Clemson would have the tiebreaker if Miami were to win out and Clemson were to do the same, or even lose another game, because you would have to play that Georgia Tech game in that case. Because again, if Clemson had 2 losses, they would then hold the tiebreaker against Miami with 2 losses, if that were to be the scenario. But yeah, I mean, you could, but yeah, even if Clemson had 2 losses, you would still have to play the Georgia Tech game and win it, and then it would, be 2 losses versus 1. So there's a lot going on, and I know that it seems like a lot, but basically you need Clemson to lose twice, and I don't see that happening. The other part of it is I don't necessarily think that we're going to play all 3 of those games anyway. I just think that what we're seeing locally and nationally is an uptick in coronavirus cases. Just in general, let alone, regarding the Miami Hurricanes or whatever football team around. And I don't think that Miami is going to play all of the remaining games on the schedule. I just don't think that that's going to be a thing that happens. Maybe things turn around again and they get it under control. But me, myself personally, yeah, I just don't think that we're going to see Miami play all of the games that are still left on the schedule this year. I just don't.
Okay, let me see if I can work this through. So on the date of December 5th, that is Miami's next game. That Correct. Is also, if we need to assume all the games are going to be played, which they probably won't, but we have to work with that right now. Mm-hmm. that is the date of Clemson's final game of the season against Virginia Tech. So let's say if
so we'll know within 3 weeks. We'll know soon.
And this is most likely the game that Clemson is going to lose. They play Florida State and Pitt before that. So most likely Virginia Tech's got the best shot in Blacksburg to beat Clemson.
Of those three, yes.
Okay, I agree. So Clemson loses that game. Otherwise, our conversation's null and void. They have to lose that game or a game, but that's the most likely. So that drops Clemson to however many games they're playing in the
9 and 2.
So that drops Clemson to 9-2.
9-2, 8-2 in the league. Yeah,
8-2 in the league. Clemson's 8-2 in the ACC. Miami currently sits at 7-1. They would be winning a game against, or 6-1. I'm sorry. Yeah. Miami's 6-1 currently in the ACC. So they would go to 7-1 with a win against whomever they play on the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So they're 7-1. Clemson's 8-2. And then on the 12th, Miami plays again.
Carolina. Yep.
So they win that game. They go to 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing Notre Dame in the ACC Championship game.
And because you still have to play the Georgia Tech game because you have to remove the chance of losing. So then
because play it like that.
Yeah, that I'm just reading what the ACC said. It said if the Miami Georgia Tech game does not impact who goes to the ACC Championship game, if you're at that point after beating Waking Carolina on the 12th and you're tied and you're at 8-1 in the league and Clemson's at 8-2, presuming that they lose to Virginia Tech, then you have to play that Georgia Tech game on the 19th. Because if we lose that game, Clemson goes. If we win that game, we go.
How do you penalize a team for a game that's going to have to have been played on the same day as the championship game?
Welcome to the wonderful world of coronavirus. And trust and
believe.
I don't
agree with that.
I don't either.
The only reason I can understand it to a certain extent in this scenario is because Clemson beat Miami head-to-head. So I give it a little bit of leeway there. But if these teams if this was Miami and Notre Dame, let's say, in this scenario, and they don't play, then I go with winning percentage, unless there's some ridiculous outbreak for one team where they only play 3 games. I go with winning percentage, and one team lost 2 games. I'm flabbergasted.
I hear you, but again, that last game, and we've seen these things happen.
I know
you got to go and you got to win it on the 19th. And then who knows when you're going to have the ACC Championship game, because they're already trying to say we're hard in like 100% on the 19th. But then, so you're going to remove Miami from contention. And then, I mean, hypothetically in this scenario, you could have Miami at 9-1 in the league and Clemson at 8-2 in the league. But that 9th win came against Georgia Tech on the day of the ACC Championship game, with Clemson then playing in Charlotte against Notre Dame. That could potentially, it's a lot. It's a lot. I know. And it's tough. And that's why, we're saying, okay, root for Clemson against Notre Dame, because that gives you a little bit of that leeway in that path, forward if, they were to drop another game or something like that. But unless the ACC does something where they say, okay, we're going to, pending the results of the 19th, if this were to come together, and obviously the first thing is Clemson has to lose once, if not twice. And Miami doesn't lose again, and again, pending that they play all these games. There's a lot. So it's, possible, like people are saying, that you could have a 1 or 2 loss conference season, go to the Power 6 bowl game, if you get there, but not go to the ACC Championship game, even with the percentage to do so, just because of the way that the tiebreaker and the whole schedule situation and everything is. This is a coronavirus spaghetti Western mess. It's not linear. It's very circuitous, and those circuitous routes are tied up all in each other. It's a knot. It's a whole lot.
I missed that. I don't agree with it. So then you have to root for Notre Dame to lose 2 games. Could go that route.
I mean, I root for them to lose all the games, but I mean, they could lose 2, and then Clemson wins out, and then Miami wins out. But
so
that was But even if, but that would still probably have to have the Georgia Tech game played because, pending this, okay, if Miami lost, which one are we going to take between Notre Dame and Miami to go up against Clemson? If that were, so I just, that's where logically I get to. And maybe I need to put all this on paper to kind of clarify my thoughts further.
I understand it now. I
hear you. I'm just like,
I don't agree with it. I understand it.
Right. I'm just saying, maybe if I put it on paper, I could find a different way that like logically manipulates it. So it's like, okay, well, just Miami will just go straight through, or it could potentially go straight through after 2 games on the 5th and the 12th, not having to play Georgia Tech on the 19th. It's possible, and I'm just missing it. So it's maybe like a puzzle or something where I need to step back and just write it all down, and then I can see it. But yeah, having like talked through it a couple of times, that's what I see. To be sure, Clemson and or Notre Dame would have to have 3 conference losses by the time that the 12th rolls around, and I don't think that's going to happen. But hey.
Well, Notre Dame and Miami having not played, what is the tiebreaker there? Why does Notre Dame with 1 loss get the nod over Miami with 1 loss? Let's say Notre Dame loses,
because it would go down to like the next one. It would go down to the next thing. It's like because you'd have the A beats C beat. Yeah, A beats B, B beats C, C beats A. If you would have that round table, it's like Clemson beat, or like Notre Dame beat Clemson, Clemson beat us, and then we didn't play, kind of a thing. And then it would go to record, and then like team, it would then step down to the next tiebreakers.
If there's
a 3-way, they would make it happen.
If there's a 3-way tie between Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, I can understand that because as common opponents, Clemson's 1-1. They beat Miami. They lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 1-0. They beat Clemson. Miami's 0-1. I get that. All right.
Yeah. Fun with numbers. Yeah.
We're allowing teams to play games that will give them better records to have played in a conference championship game that they can't participate in because the game in question is being played at the same time on the same day as them reaching
the same day. Like it would probably be the 3:30 game with the ACC Championship game being 8 o'clock. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. That's that's the math that I've been banding about for a while. So hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't think that we're going to play all these games to begin with. But yeah, that's what it would take for Miami to get to the ACC Championship game. Again, unless I didn't carry the 1 or something on that math problem. But yeah.